This work is coordinated by the Eastern Barred Bandicoot recovery team. The recovery team is a group of people or organisations with interest in the conservation and recovering from extinction this beautiful bandicoot. It has a number of members from Environment, Land and Water and Planning, Zoos Victoria, Phillip Island Nature Park, Mount Rothwell Biodiversity Conservation Centre, Parks Victoria and conservation volunteers. The recovery team started in about 1990 and since then it has been doing a number of things to stop the bandicoot from becoming extinct. The first thing it did was ultimately decide that the bandicoots were going extinct in the wild and they had to be pulled from the wild and brought in for a captive breeding program. Since then, one of the key things the recovery team has done has been breeding bandicoots, basically to conserve them. At the same time, another critical thing that the team's been doing is finding areas to release bandicoots and working out ways of releasing them where they can successfully survive in the wild. About 10 years ago, the team finally decided that the only way to do this successfully was to do it in areas where there were no foxes. So for the last 10 years, the main thing the team has been doing is setting up sites like this, like Hamilton, where we can fence and set up these fox-free sites where the bandicoots can flourish. So we proved that really could work here and at one other site just north of Geelong at Mount Rothwell. And having proved it at these two sites, we're now doing it at one other site just north of Melbourne at Woodlands Historic Park, and a fourth site and our last site, which is Tiverton just north of Mortlake. Tiverton is the largest site at 1,000 hectares, and together with the three other sites means that we now have almost 2,000 hectares of land where bandicoots can flourish in the absence of foxes within the original range, within Western Victoria. Another thing the recovery team is doing is introducing bandicoots into places where they've never been, and that is into fox-free islands in Victoria. Victoria has two large fox-free islands, Phillip Island and French Island, and over the last 5 years we've introduced bandicoots into those two islands as well. In fact, there's a third island, Churchill Island, just off Phillip Island, was the first place we did that. It's a little island, we chose Churchill Island to be sure that our ideas that bandicoots would do well there were correct. Bandicoots did very well on Churchill Island, at this little island of only 60 hectares. And so we've now established bandicoots on Phillip Island, which is 11,000 hectares, I think, and French Island, which is 18,000 hectares. All these introductions and reintroductions require animals, and the Zoos Victoria captive breeding programs being an essential part of that. So the animals that we've established new populations with have come in part from the Zoos Victoria captive breeding program and in part from places like Hamilton. Last year, animals from Hamilton went to French Island to establish, in part, establish a new population there. With these 4 reintroduction sites on the mainland and now 3 island populations in fox-free islands in Victoria, we're pretty close to securing this bandicoot. Our future work is really just securing what we've done. We're confident that with the success of all those things that we've talked about, the bandicoot now has a secure future.